Okay, well, hello everybody. I'm Naveen Naidu. I work as a doctor, lawyer, and an entrepreneur. I've been involved with the Diamond Lakes project for over 10 years and am currently the project manager tasked with getting the Diamond Lakes project back into production. I'm honored to host Bloodless Diamonds Africa's presentation showcasing the Diamond Lakes mine and the Gugu diamond mine in the central Kalahari. I'm pleased to introduce James Campbell, the CEO of London-listed Botswana Diamonds, as the main speaker today. James is the driving force behind many projects, but Botswana Diamonds' myriad of projects, including the Gugu diamond mine, as well as the Thorny River project. His experience and track record in Southern African diamond geology and mining is legendary. James, if you would just like to give yourself a quick summary of your accomplishments within the diamond mining sector in Southern Africa.
Thank you very much, Naveen, and thank you very much indeed for having me. I've been in the diamond exploration, development and mining space for the past 37 years. So it's been a very long time. My first 21 years or so was with De Beers. Notable appointments there were Nicky Oppenheimer's first personal assistant, and I left the company as general manager responsible for advanced exploration and laboratories around the world. During my time at De Beers, we discovered the Marsfontein, the Klipspringer, and the Oaks diamond mines, all within kind of my remit. Following that, I ran the company called African Diamonds, which developed the AK6 deposit in Botswana, which was bought out by Lucara and is now the Karowe mine. The original shareholders in African Diamonds received 25 times return on their investment. Following that, I ran a company called West Africa Diamonds, where we were developing a diamond project in Sierra Leone and Guinea. We did a reverse takeover of Stellar Diamonds, and Stellar Diamonds was acquired by Newfield Resources, an Australian listed company, a couple of years ago, and they're now in production on some of the projects we were originally looking at several years ago. Following that, I ran Rockwell Diamonds, which was a large alluvial producer in the central part of South Africa, the Middle Orange, and we're probably one of the lowest unit operating cost mining operations from a public perspective in the world on a diamond perspective. And then from the past 5 years, I've been running Botswana Diamonds PLC, a London AIM and Botswana Stock Exchange listed company with projects both in South Africa and in Botswana. We're very active from an exploration perspective, but we also are active in the corporate space, looking for deals which can grow shareholder value. So Naveen, there's a brief potted summary for you.
Very impressive as always, James. Well, let's jump straight into it. Al Rosa getting sanctioned is a pretty big thing in the diamond industry. How do you see this new state of affairs affecting diamond mining in Southern Africa?
I think, Naveen, one must maybe take a step back and have a look at what COVID did before one looks at what the Ukraine crisis has done. Is that any black swan event like COVID, a major black swan event like COVID, does lead to quite a significant drop in diamond pricing, and it did. Prices dropped between 30 to 40%. History shows us this, but history also shows us that rough diamond prices increase hard and fast too as well. And by January, February of this year, diamond prices were 5% or maybe even up to 10% higher than they were pre-COVID. Yes, and now we've had the Russian invasion of Ukraine. You've had sanctions on Al Rosa, which is the largest producer of diamonds in the world by carats, not by value. That's De Beers. But we don't know how successful the sanctions have actually been. because diamonds are able to go out through China, India, and other countries in which there are no sanctions. So it's fairly mixed view at the moment in terms of how successful the sanctions are. There's a great deal of pressure on major cutting centers such as Antwerp to make sure they have provenance attached to their diamonds, and if they're Russian origin, they're not dealt with. But there are backdoors such as India and China. So I'm not quite sure how effective the sanctions will be. And on top of that, industry bodies have not followed through with the same level of efficiency, should I say, that others have in terms of instituting sanctions against Russia. But notwithstanding of that, I know we all hope and pray that this situation will resolve itself in the not too distant future, and we hope it's not going to be a long drawn out war where things become more and more polarized. And if it is resolved fairly shortly, I'm sure the business will return to normal and we'll go back to the long-term supply-demand economics of the diamond business itself.
I would expect that there would be an increased interest in Southern African diamonds as a whole, consequent upon the Ukraine situation. Have you noticed that at all as yet, or are we still sitting in the post-COVID depressed era?
No, Naveen. I've been in Botswana recently. I've spoken at a conference there, ditto in South Africa, and it certainly sees there is a bit of a reaction, a bit of a positive reaction to pricing. And certainly if you look at articles quoting the president of Botswana and others, they are definitely looking to exploit this particular opportunity, because if I look at Botswana example, they call it the Switzerland of Africa. You can get strong provenance back to your diamonds. And if consumers, particularly American consumers, and American consumers consume half the world's diamonds, really want to have provenance behind them, then countries such as Botswana are really in the pole position for it. Excellent.
Well, look, on to the first of the mines being discussed today, the Diamond Lakes project. It's a project that's slowly gaining momentum. James has thankfully come aboard as a technical advisor on the project, and this will no doubt shape the project into a capital venture going forward. This is a mine of 100 hectares that has some interesting geology and history. It comprises mainly alluvial diamond runs over many dolomite sinkhole depressions. There's been big quantities of diamonds that have been recovered historically from the area. However, no kimberlite source has yet been found. The challenges with any and all South African mining are significant. The cost, the expertise, the security, accountability, and transparency. And these are all issues that affect any company operating out of either South Africa or Southern Africa in general. What we've sort of done is to have adapted to using a business model that will incorporate security, accountability, and transparency into the project by using either a law firm or an auditing firm to manage the project for a decided professional fee, which would be generated by the project. Historically, the Diamond Lakes mine was first mined in the early 1920s. And I will just try and share my screen. Are you able to enable that at all, James, to allow me to share screen?
Okay, you should be able to do it now. Yeah.
Let's have a look. Okay. So this is just a short PowerPoint presentation which encapsulates most of the Diamond Lakes project. We did a lot of what would amount to being bulk sampling in 2018 where we recovered 3,500 carats. Unfortunately, the sampling and the project ended at the end of 2018, and we've been in the process of trying to get us back to where we were. The mines are located in South Africa, in the northwest province of South Africa. That's the Diamond Lakes project itself. It's situated in an area which is called Lichtenburg. It's about 20 kilometers north of Lichtenburg, and it comprises a lot of these alluvial diamond runs that run across quite a big area. The Diamond Lakes project actually sits square in the center of that diamond run and is a 99-hectare mine. It's got several areas where there have been proven deposits. One of the problems that we've got with the mine is that we've got geologicals that are not updated. We've got geologicals that confirm the presence of diamond deposits, confirm the presence of huge swathes of diamondiferous bearing gravel. And then we've also got sampling that was done as part of a master's thesis by Edgar Stettler in the 70s, which actually record areas of various of the potholes that are still there. This is an illustration of Pinar's pothole, where there was a sampling that was done, and a 1.1 carat and 1.2 carat were recovered from the borehole sample. This again is another view of the pothole, where again there were 3 separate borehole sampling where there was a diamond recovered in each of those. So we're sitting with this. We're sitting with the project where there are several areas where there have been proven deposits, that some are relatively superficial and some extend to 40 to 50 meters subterranean. The geological information indicates vast reserves of gravels, but we are far from a bankable document. It's one of the problems that we've had as a Southern African self-funded mine, is not having had the resources to have actually gone on to have done a competent man's report. We are, however, in the process of setting up a sampling that will take place over the next few weeks to months, where we are hoping that we will be able to recover our first lot of diamonds after the hiatus of almost 3 years. And we're hoping that that will actually kickstart the project with regards to better funding. James, I will stop my screen sharing and switch over to you. I realize that with the Diamond Lakes project, we don't have the luxury of the financial resources that we would like to have. However, one of the benefits that we've got is that we've got areas that we've sampled in our sampling from 3 years ago, where we've got relatively superficial deposits of proven diamondiferous gravels. And we are hoping to actually target those areas initially to be able to yield some sort of a return to then support our capital raise within the Southern African and global markets. It's an unconventional approach compared to the one that Botswana Diamonds is taking, which is your comprehensive surveying and using a listed company's position to be able to raise funds. We are certainly will benefit from having your technical expertise in terms of directing us with the way forward. I foresee a lot of problems, but would you be able to just give us a little bit of insight into what you see and where you think we should be heading with the project?
Naveen, when you come to a diamond deposit, there are 3 things that you initially look at. You look at the size, the volume, the grade, which comes in carats per 100 tons, and you look at the dollar per carat, the diamond quality. And you put those 3 together and you get $1 per ton. Once you've arrived at the dollar per ton, you then look at what can be your operating cost model and the capital cost required for that. And depending on the variance or the profitability of the operation, you then look at anything from own mining and processing all the way through to what we call royalty mining and processing. On the first one, own mining and processing, it's where we enjoy all the risks and benefits. So all the costs come up front, we'll carry all the operating costs, but all the revenue comes through too as well. And on the other hand, on royalty mining, you don't carry any of the cost benefits, but you have a fixed cap in terms of the royalty, and the risks and benefits chiefly flow to the royalty miner. What I've typically done in the past is where I have a defined resource, where there is a high degree of certainty in terms of the resource itself, as well as the capital and the operating cost profile. And if there's a good margin, that's something which one can generally try and raise money against and then fund. But if it's the latter, where there is uncertainty in terms of the resource in whichever one of the variables or all three of them, and where one struggles to raise operating and capital cost numbers, one typically goes down the royalty route, which does provide a good annuity income, but it may not be as much as what it would be if it was the other model. But you can't have everything in this game. You've either got to have actually one or the other. And I think the work at the Diamond Lakes that's required is to try and narrow down that kind of uncertainty and then make a commercial decision as to which of those mining routes to follow.
Well, we will certainly be looking forward to, and I'm hoping to actually try and catch up with you while I am down here before leaving to Australia. However, we'll now go on to the second of the mines being discussed today, the famous Gugu. And yeah, can you tell us something about Gugu and what the involvement is that Botswana Diamonds has and is looking towards the future?
Yes, Naveen, we signed a confidentiality agreement with Gem Diamonds almost 2 years ago to look at Gugu, and we undertook a thorough due diligence. We partnered with Vast Resources PLC to be a joint funder of that project, but sadly, they were unable to fund the project. And so since the beginning of end of January, we've been looking for financing partners. So what is Gugu? Gugu is a diamond mine in the middle of the Central Kalahari of Botswana. It was run by Gem Diamonds for some time. They recovered over 150,000 carats of stones. And if you look at the resource statement, they have just under 80 million tons at 20 CPHT and a further 30 million tons at 18 CPHT at $239 a carat. So it is essentially probably one of the largest available kimberlite diamond mines in the world, and in the fabulous jurisdiction of Botswana. Gem spent $250 million developing the mine, where you have an underground decline, development, processing plant, power and infrastructure facilities, a campsite, ablutions, kitchens, etc., etc. And we've negotiated a price of $4 million with Gem, and that has been approved from a regulatory perspective with the government of Republic of Botswana. So all there is left to be done, and I kind of say that rather in inverted commas, is to find a financing partner to work with us. We would be the operator, we would get the work done, and of course the financing partner would have a majority stake in this project, and then we can reinstate the deal, which we allowed to lapse about 3 weeks ago, and put it back into production. And it's just to give you a sense of perspective, Naveen, on this. If one were to go and discover a kimberlite, it could take you 10 years to put into production. If you already have one and you need to do a feasibility study and then develop it, it could take you 5 or 6 years. With this operation, everything is there. It will basically take you a year, subject to financing, of course, to put the mine into production. It's got a 20-year underground mine life. And if there's appetite for larger capital, there is a bankable feasibility study for an open cast operation. And this acquisition is key to Botswana Diamonds, as we are very active in the Kalahari of Botswana, with both exploration projects in Sunland and Sikaka Minerals, as well as the KX36 kimberlite deposit, which we acquired from Petra a couple of years ago, which is at the pre-feasibility study stage.
Well, that all sounds pretty impressive. So that acquisition price of the $4 million, if you put that aside, what would your capital running expense be to actually restart Gugu over the period of, say, a year from restarting, if you did have your capital injection that you required and if you'd acquired the equity stake? What kind of capital expense would be required to actually get the mine back up to a productional state?
Naveen, the capital requirements are under $10 million, and that includes the $4 million acquisition price. But one must bear in mind this is the working capital requirements too. So I always give two numbers. I give the capital number, which is a number you directly asked for, but I also give the peak funding requirement as well. And because, it takes time to rebuild the mine, that'll take about 8 months. It'll take time to redevelop the underground workings. And so the peak funding requirement is between $25 and $30 million, depending on what the diamond price is at that time. Towards the bottom end, if it's where it is now, and if the price goes up, it'll be lower. If the price goes down, it'll be closer to $30 million. So the two round numbers are $10 million capital, including the acquisition, and $30 million peak funding requirement.
Right. Well, the Central Kalahari, diamond mining in the desert, conjures up images of diamonds and bandits.
Well, I assure you, Naveen, in the middle of the Kalahari, there are no bandits. This is a place of great natural beauty where, when tourists go there, they're very few and far between because they need to be fully kitted out in terms of living and operating in remote environments. And the only people who are resident in the Central Kalahari are the San. And then, of course, you have considerable wildlife there too as well. So if you're a bandit and you try to cross the Central Kalahari, well, I don't give you much of a chance, to be honest. You'd either be eaten by a lion or you'll kind of die of thirst or hunger, one of the two.
Well, that's reassuring for you, I'm sure.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I've read about environmental sort of preservation techniques and things, and I'm aware of what. Maybe you can enlighten us in terms of actually environmental protections. Are there any issues that have troubled you, or are there issues with regards to that aspect that you would like to emphasize as to what Botswana Diamonds does?
Well, Naveen, one of the things about acquiring a mine from a world-class company like Gem Diamonds is they've done huge work on the environmental and social aspects related to Gugu. So essentially, we just have to continue that work.
Right.
And this is another one of the great advantages about an acquisition such as this. You are not starting from a fresh slate. You are basically picking up where someone left off, and that someone operated at world-class standards. So we were very pleased with that. So we actually just need to carry on doing what they were doing, and then everything will be fine.
Well, the manner in which Botswana Diamonds has been charging ahead with its projects, I have I've got the greatest amount of faith in you and your company and the leadership that you've provided, that I'm optimistic for you that the Gugu project will start up again soon. It certainly will be beneficial for the Southern African economy as a whole. And like you said, the jurisdiction of Botswana is a phenomenally safe jurisdiction, and has and diamonds and Botswana go together. So I certainly wish you the best, and Botswana Diamonds the best in the future with regards to the Gugu project, and hope that Bloodless Diamonds Africa, with our capital raise, may actually be able to play a part in the future, with in some sort of a way, with resurrecting the Gugu mine.
No, I hope so too. Absolutely. And, you know, one of the things that one must kind of be aware of it in this environment is that the long-term supply dynamics of the diamond business are good, notwithstanding, you know, the current crisis in Ukraine.
Yeah.
People are not discovering new deposits. The older deposits are getting deeper and more expensive to mine. The middle class and upper class across the world is increasing, and their desire for diamonds are increasing, and therefore the long-term supply-demand fundamentals are good. People often ask the question, what about synthetics? Well, you know, the simple answer is that diamonds are a store of love, and those are natural diamonds. By all means, there's a market in synthetic diamonds, don't get me wrong, but it's not something you actually want to start the basis of a long-term relationship. So the market is good. And, you know, that's rather kind of tongue-in-cheek, but, you know, from a business perspective, one just needs to look at the pearl, ruby, sapphire, and other markets, where they're much more mature from that perspective, where you do have synthetics, where you do have naturals, and everything has their price point. And of course, synthetics are much cheaper than natural stones too as well. Okay. And they basically cater for a different audience. And then from a political perspective, Botswana is one of the top mining destinations in the world, definitely one of the top in Africa. And, you know, if I look at the movement, although it's heavily criticized in South Africa, the Department of Mineral and Energy Affairs in South Africa is definitely going in the right direction. So from a regulatory perspective in this country, things are moving. Of course, we would like it to move a lot quicker, but they're moving in the right direction, so one can't complain too much.
Excellent. Well, James, once again, always a pleasure to what can I say, to interview you as well as to have a chat. And yes, we'll sign it off here, and I'll let you get back to your busy schedule. And I probably will try and catch up with you in the next 2 weeks while I am here. Well, you take care. And
you're wonderful, Naveen. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, take care, and I will be leaving. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers then.